Today's guest is best known for her role as Lucy in You. Please welcome to the Zoom, Marielle Scott. Hello.
Hi.
How are you?
Good. I'm good. It's so good to see you.
It is so good to see you. Thank you so much for doing this.
Oh my God, are you kidding? I really feel honored. I was like texting Natasha and I was just like, I'm so excited.
Oh my gosh. Well, actually, that's a perfect segue. On Behind the Resume, we always start by talking about how we met. And we have a wonderful mutual friend, Natasha, who you went to Loxa with.
Loxa and Milliken Middle School.
So you've
Yeah.
known her since, wow. So that was what, sixth grade you guys met?
No, we met in eighth grade, although I don't remember her in eighth grade, but she has an incredible memory and I do not. So she's like, we met in eighth grade. I was like, we met in ninth grade. And she was like, no, we didn't. And I was like, we did. So don't tell her, but we did meet in eighth grade, but I won't admit that to
Oh,
her.
gotcha. I work with Natasha in the special needs theater group, Always on Stage, and I've known her for like 4-ish years now, and she's literally one of the best people I know. Like
And like an angel on earth.
she is. She's the best.
Yes. Are you guys doing High School Musical this year?
Yep, we're having so much fun. She actually just choreographed Get Your Head in the Game because
Right.
I couldn't be at rehearsal, and so she did that one, and I watched you're gonna see the show, right?
Of course.
Okay, it's so good.
It's always so good. It's
Yeah.
always so good. Yeah.
Anyway, though, we're here to talk about you. Where are you from?
I was born in Los Angeles, California, in the Valley.
Were your parents in the industry?
No. Oh, no. My dad works in healthcare and food service. So he has a outsourced management company that does like, you know, food for hospitals and colleges, and they kind of hire him to bring in the cafeteria. Um, and yeah, he started that in his 20s. And then my mom is a immigration attorney, so helping people seek asylum in the States, and then also she's a pro tem judge. So she also judges on the side, and she does traffic court, she does small claims. So it was very like I grew up, and I guess I went to school with Dana Carvey's like child, a preschool. And my mom thought SNL was like a soap opera. Like she asked, like, I guess he was in New York and she was like, how's your husband's soap opera? And the wife was like very sweet, was just like, it's going well, and he
Oh,
was on SNL like doing his thing. So
yeah.
they really didn't have any, yeah,
So
no.
how in the world did you become an actor?
Yeah, it's I mean, I went to a kind of progressive elementary school and we did plays.
Mhm.
And I just always wanted to be in the plays. I was just like obsessed. I was like, I want to, every time they're like, okay, who wants to be the role of whatever? And I was like, I do. So it was just very young. And then when I was, I think maybe 6, I did like a little skit for the school, and it was the fox and the quail, and I got cast as the fox. And I just remember the feeling of like flow. It was just unlike anything I had ever experienced. And then I kind of turned to my mom and I was like, I love that. And she was like, you were great. And then a friend of ours was doing this youth theater group in Hollywood, and they needed a carpool. So like, hey, would she like to do it so we can switch off? And my mom was like, do you want to do this? And I was like, yeah, that sounds great. And so I started doing it at
Wow.
probably 6-ish, and then I just didn't stop. I just went, and she eventually grew out of it. She didn't really have interest in it anymore, and I just didn't stop until high school.
Do you have any siblings?
Yes, yeah, I have a brother and older sister. I have an older brother and older sister.
And are they in the arts at all?
My brother's a DJ.
Oh,
Yes.
cool.
He DJs all around the world and has that career. My sister has a tech startup.
What was it about theater that lit you up?
I'm the youngest in the family and they're much older than me. And so when I came around, my parents were kind of tired. And so I was just like a whoopsie baby. Don't tell my parents I said that. And but I was like, you guys, that is what happened. My mom's like, you know, you want to do that. And I was like, I wasn't on purpose. So I think I just like had trouble feeling seen because I was just so little that they were just kind of like, oh, she's just kind of like there and they love me. But I think that it was a way for me to express myself.
For sure.
Uh, Also just feel like there's like a zen quality when I'm working. And I think I was just seeking that.
Mm. So when did TV and film become an interest of yours?
That's a good question. No one's ever asked me that. Well, the thing I do remember watching Barney.
Hmm.
And I remember watching Barney and being like, I want to do that. Like what those kids are doing, I want to do that. I don't just like it as a consumer, I want to do it.
Hmm.
And then I would see TV shows like, a little older, I'd watch like That's So Raven. And I was probably too old to watch Hannah Montana, but shout out. I love Miley, big fan. So I was watching a lot of Hannah Montana and I just remember wanting to like participate.
Yeah.
Um, and then I got to middle school and there were a couple girls in our middle school it was a public school, but they were acting.
Well,
And
you're
they
in LA, right?
right, yeah, there was like one girl, oh, she's on a Nickelodeon show. I'm like, oh, that's pretty
Who were
cool.
the kids? Example who?
Who was it? There was a girl named Victoria Justice.
What? She went to
Yes, she went to my middle school
Hey,
and I just
Victoria Justice from Victorious, right?
yes.
That's so cool. Were you guys friends?
No, 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 no. I was not cool. I was not cool. I was like not that.
Wait, I love how casually you said it too. You're like, oh yeah, there's this girl named Beyonce. She like went to my middle school.
I don't know. I don't know. Some people are like, my family's like, what are you talking about? So I'm just so used to like, I'll say
Oh
it,
no,
and they
no,
go,
Victorious was everything. That's wait, so was she the same year as you?
she was a year younger.
Oh
She
my
was
God. But
a year,
was
yeah.
she on Nickelodeon yet?
I think so. Or
Wow.
maybe she got it that year or it was like news. And I
Oh,
remember being like, I like that. I was
who
like,
were the
that
other
like
kids at your
that.
school?
Who else? There was a really talented kid named Sam Lerner. He's on the Goldbergs now.
Okay.
Very sweet. Um, who else? I mean, I went to I went to high school. I mean, I ended up going to high school now with people that are just like huge, which is just like so incredible. We're all like so happy every time their songs come on the radio or like, it's a really big deal. But yeah, I do remember that and then getting to high school and seeing like some of my classmates starting to like book um like they had been acting for a while. So like booking, some kind of like an iCarly episode or
Mhm.
a like NCIS episode or Lano. And I was like, that's so cool. Like I remember my friend being like, I booked a guest star and being like, you're called a guest star? Like, oh my God. And she was like, no, sorry. It's like everyone's a guest star. I was like, but you're a star and you're a guest. So
Right, right. So going to LOXA, that's like a pretty big deal. For those who don't know, it's the Los Angeles County School of the Arts, and it's a very prestigious school. So you must have been pretty, uh,
yeah.
you know, passionate and determined. What did you do? Were you there for acting?
Yes. Yeah. 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 I like
And
from when I was in the youth theater, I was like, this is what I'm gonna do with my life.
oh,
I don't I'm just one of those people that just knew. I think the principal of my elementary school's kid went to Loxa.
oh,
He had said a comment or two to my mom and was like, hey, I think Mari would do well at the art school downtown if she's interested. And so when high school rolled around, my mom, I think maybe called the principal and was just kind of like, well, what's the information? What do we need to know? And then a kid from my theater group ended up going, and she was much older. And so that was like, kind of like parents talking. But my parents were definitely very supportive. I felt like I didn't really give them a choice. Like I was like, this is happening. And they were just
uh-huh.
like, okay.
But I feel like that's what you have to have in order to make this wild dream the reality, you know?
Yeah, you kind of have to be delusional. You do.
Yeah,
You have to just be,
absolutely.
yeah. Even though you're inside, you're like, what? You're just like,
Right.
yes, this is, you know, yeah.
Do you ever think about that girl at that age who was so headstrong about making this thing happen? Like, if she were to see you now, what do you think she would say?
I think she would be really excited that I kept going. I think she would be just super stoked. Just
Mm,
like, whoa, really? I also think she would be like, good. You
yeah.
know, good. Like that is the path. And I think she would be very happy and excited. Yeah, really excited.
Were you also auditioning outside of school?
No, no. So I didn't know anything about anything. I was just asking my friends, like, if you have an agent, or what does that mean? Or who is an agent? What does a manager do? I was asking questions, but you can't miss class. I mean, the kids that missed class, it was always just like an ordeal. My parents like weren't gonna take me to auditions in high school. So it wasn't really an option. And I also don't even think I was there yet, like
Hmm.
emotionally or mentally or yeah.
So how old were you when you signed to your first agent?
Um, it was college.
Oh,
Yes, yeah, it was in college, and I think I was 20.
was it hard when you were surrounded by so many kids all at different points in their careers already? Was there a lot of like comparison?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I definitely yeah, for sure. Like because like it was cool if you're working. And
Yeah,
it's not necessarily about like fame it's more of just like working. Like I found like working to be cool. So
yeah,
if that girl booked iCarly, I was like, "Oh, I want to do that." Like how do
right,
I do that? But it also just gave me motivation, it gave me encouragement, it gave me a lot of it gave me something to look forward to and to work towards. I went to UCLA. Yeah, so I majored in theater, film, and television. How do I describe like you have because I auditioned, applied, and got into the theater program. They set your schedule. So
mm,
also couldn't really miss class to go on auditions.
wow,
It was also studying Shakespeare. Everything was like at a different level now. It was college. It was also more intense because people were trying to do this for a living. Like when you
right,
pay, for college, because Loxa was free. So if you got in, great, but you're also not paying for that. Um, so UCLA is like, it is a public university, but a lot of people would come from out of state. So it definitely got a sense of like, oh, these people are a little more serious. It's not high school. It's like, oh, that girl from Wisconsin, and that it's like it's a little more intense. Yeah. And then I auditioned for a play written by Eve Ensler. I got the play. It was very exciting. And
was this at school or outside of school?
yeah, this was at school, but she kind of just wanted to workshop this play that she had just written
Cool.
for LPC. And so she's like figuring it out. So she asked the college if she could come and like do this, and the college was like, yes, we'd be honored, like, and
Huh?
everyone auditioned for it. And then that is where I got my first agent, because like a bunch of agents came.
No way.
Manager, it was a manager, but yeah, a bunch of managers came. And then they like, yeah, that's how I got my first manager.
Wow, were you so excited?
Oh my God, are you kidding? I was like, what? And my mom came with me to the interview. Like they kind of like wanted to talk to me, and I was like, yeah, it was just the most exciting thing that had ever happened to me.
Wow, that's amazing. Are you still with that manager?
No, no, they dropped me. Yeah, they dropped me. They very much dropped me. I think I was even still in college when they dropped me, and I even remember getting the call. I was devastated, which
Yeah.
was also like as an actor, and any actor who's watching this or listening to this, like that happens.
Yeah.
That's part of it. That
Yep.
is who you initially sign with is not, I've also been dropped by an agent. I was out with my friends. We were all Friday afternoon, we were all getting like food, and I checked my email, and it was just like, oh, like just been dropped. So I just want to know, I want everyone to know, very normal. You keep going. It's scary, it's hard, yes. And also you get up the next day, cry,
Yeah.
watch, a funny movie, and then the next day kind of like get up.
Yeah, I've been there. You like let yourself feel it and you're like, okay, onward. I always
Right.
think to myself, like, this is what goes in the book, right? Like, if you think about writing your memoir, it's like this is going to be such an inspiring chapter when like I write about how I was dropped and then I got up the next day and kept going, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
In college, when you were starting to really think about like, this is going to be my livelihood, because I just, in my own journey, like that's such an interesting kind of like conversation with yourself about like, okay, like this is my passion and I want to turn this into my income and my career, right? So what was that thought like for you? And was that unsettling thinking about how inconsistent work is in this industry?
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's very scary. I mean, I had also grown up because in Los Angeles, like friends of like my friends' parents were sometimes actors.
Hmm.
I kind of hear like, oh yeah, my dad auditioned for that commercial, or my mom got that movie, or and like, look, it's scary.
Yeah.
It is scary. It is scary. And also, it's for me, I didn't feel like I always have choice. But for me, it didn't feel like a choice.
Right.
I
Yeah.
was like, this is it. And I have to make it work because I have to.
Right.
Wasn't like there's a fire. And I just like was just so I'm still just so in love with it that yes, it's scary to make it an income, but I worked a ton of side jobs
Hmm.
before I was able to sustain myself.
What were some of those side jobs?
Oh my God, Julia, what wasn't a side job? I walked dogs. I worked front desk at a yoga studio, a Pilates studio. I worked at a gym front desk. I worked as a host. I sold yogurt at a farmer's market. I sold a yogurt at Whole Foods, like in the little state. I was babysitting. I was nannying. I was doing what I had to do, and I
Right.
was trying to choose things that were flexible but
Mhm.
still paid pretty well.
Was this
Yeah.
all during college or after?
No, this is, I mean, some of them are during college and then some of them are just after college.
Uh-huh. And at this time you were auditioning.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so I had gotten dropped from my managers and then I decided I had a wonderful roommate who now is like a very big voice actress. So we graduated together and we moved in together right after college. And she was like, okay, we need to sign up for acting classes. Like, and I was like, yes, acting classes. So we signed up for acting classes. I got onto Actors Access. I made myself an account and I just started going on like 5, 7 auditions a week. I didn't care. I didn't care what it
Wow.
was. I didn't care where it was. I was driving to like an
Yeah.
hour away. I was like, where am I going? I don't care. And also like a couple times I'd show up to a house like in the front and I would just be like,
Oh
no,
no.
I'm gonna keep driving. Yeah.
Yeah. No.
Yeah. I'm determined, but I'm not stupid. So
Wait,
like,
you must have some crazy stories from that time.
yeah, I mean, yeah, it was like it was just like auditioning for things like Sherlock Homeboy or like, having to like scream for this horror movie at the top of my lungs with like in this house that like a bunch of like people were there. So I was like, okay, I see a bunch of like girls walking in. So maybe, but it's just like crazy, like alleyways and just like a lot of student films at that time. When like I showed up, I drove an hour and a half to a student film audition and then realized very quickly that they were just going to cast their friends and they were going
Oh,
because they had to.
yeah.
And so I was like sitting there and I was like quickly gauging. I was like, okay, okay. And things like that, and just cried on the hour and a half drive home.
Mhm.
It's just like I cry a lot. I'll say.
So what was the first not even big project maybe that someone else would think, but what was the first like defining moment for you as an actor?
That's a really good question. During that time, I booked a student film that I was like, oh, this is good.
Mm.
And I was really excited and proud to show the product.
Mm.
That was, non union. I wasn't in the union yet. And that felt really good. And I showed my family, and my mom was like, no, Mari, like, this is good. Like,
What
this
was it
isn't
called?
party granimal.
What was like the plot and your character?
Basically, like, I was throwing a party and my grandma showed up because it was like staying with her. So I threw a party at her house. And then she ends up like partying with us. And then we end up
Okay.
like going upstairs and like having this very emotional kind of like connection. And like the generational gap was kind of lessened. And it was like this really beautiful film.
Wow, cool.
Yeah, I love it. I love that little student film. And then the next thing, probably a couple months later, I booked a non-union commercial. So that was also very exciting. And then I realized that was one day, it was a True Car commercial. I like had to drive a truck and I was like, ah, like waving in my like whatever Ford. Um, and then I realized quickly after I was like, I have to join the union in order to get any kind of work that I'm like wanting to get anything on
Did you
TV.
have an agent at this time?
No. And so I asked some friends if we could put together a short film,
Mhm.
and it was still under the new media contract. And one of my best friends, who was in my wedding last year and who's just one of my favorite people, she came on as a producer and she tapped Hartley'd me.
Wow.
Yeah.
Amazing. For those watching who might not know what that means, can you explain?
Yeah, so Taft Hartley is the production side um of casting and producing, where they basically fill out a ton of paperwork and say that you are the only person who can do this role. And if you're non-union, we will do the extra work and pay the extra fee in order to hire you. So like let's say like Marvel is casting their next superhero and they do a wide net, and some very talented actress from Morocco or from Canada or wherever is one, and they'll say like, no, she is the one we need, and we'll do the work to get her in the union.
Mhm.
And then you become eligible, which means that you can pay to be in the union, which is a hefty fee. It's a lot of money, especially for everyone starting out. Or you can work jobs until you're a must join. So you can only probably work 3 jobs and then you're a must join. And then you can't just keep working without paying your dues as a union member and joining. Was that
Amazing.
clear?
Yes, that was amazing. So you then joined the union, and was that helpful in getting work?
Yeah, I mean, yes. So I had only done non-union stuff and it was like 1, 2 days and it was
Right.
2 jobs. And yeah, it led to a lot.
So then Lady Bird, that's so iconic. How did that come about? Everything. I just want to know everything about that.
Yeah, I mean, that was my first job.
Insane.
Yeah, it was insane. It was. That was like my first thing I had ever done. I mean, I was like one day on a commercial or the party granimal thing, but I was in this acting class and they were really encouraging us to do workshops. So
Mhm.
workshops were back in the day like a place you can go and meet a casting director who you might not be able to meet, and they'll host it and you can kind of go up and do your little scene and they give you some feedback and then you go home. So I signed up to do this workshop and I was like very, very excited. And I was the last one, and I did my scene, and it was I figured out. Oh, I'm sorry. I'll go back. I was like, okay, who for anyone who is wanting to act, I like. It's important to look at who's casting the things you want to be on. So if you love a show like Succession or The Last of Us or Veep or whatever it may be, or Wednesday, you look at, okay, who cast that?
Yeah.
And maybe they'll cast, you can kind of, maybe if they're doing a workshop, I'm not sure if they do workshops anymore. So I was like, who's casting The Office, Freaks and Geeks, Bridesmaids, who's doing all of the funny, quirky comedies that I'm very attracted to? Freaks and Geeks is very important to me. So Allison Jones cast all of those projects. So it was one person. I was like, you are my queen. Her associates were doing like, people worked for her were doing a workshop. So I was like, okay. So I was the last one to go that night. And they just like talked to me. Like, I don't know if they were in a good mood. I got lucky. I did it. And we just like joked and laughed. And I was in there for like 15, 20 minutes.
Wow.
And I left, and I called my parents on the way, and I was like, something happened.
Hmm.
It was an intro. I was like, I don't know. Something happened. And they were like, great, cool. Happy you did it tonight. Happy you made the effort to show up. I
Right.
was like, me too. Like, I'm so excited. And then I didn't get called into their office. Nothing, Julia. Crickets. So 6 months later, I was like, I'm going to do it again.
Good for you. Oh my gosh.
So this time there's only one person. There was two. There's only one this time. And I was like, hi. And he was like, I'm so glad you're back. It's so nice to see you. And I was like, oh, okay. Okay. Did it. And he was like, yeah, like yeah, love seeing you. And I was like, okay. And then I didn't get called in for anything. And I was like, no, 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 no. So I called Natasha. We went to go see a movie, and it was around Christmas time. And I was like, I need you as my wingman. And she was like, okay. So I picked up a bottle of wine and I Googled their address to the casting office, and
I don't know where this is going.
I killed them. No. I parked outside. She was in the car and she was like, you can do it. You can do it. I was like literally shaking. I was like, oh my God. Oh my God.
Oh, you brought them okay. You brought them
I brought them
okay.
I brought them a bottle of wine. I'm sitting in the car. My butt is sweating. My back is drenched. I'm like a mess. I was like, this is, so I'm like literally shaking. I like on the door and I was like, hi, I just wanted to say thank you for all that you do. Like literally just like grateful for them. Just
Uh-huh.
grateful that they are casting weirdos on television.
Uh-huh.
And Ben, the associate, was like, Mari, hi, nice to see you. I actually don't think you've actually met Allison. Allison, come here. I want you to meet.
No way.
She comes out, and I was like, the icon, the legend, the star. I was just like, she's a genius. Okay.
Uh-huh.
So I was just like, I didn't want to be there long too, because my heart was pounding too hard. I couldn't get the words out. So I was just like, thank you. She's like, oh, yeah, thank you. Like, nice. She was kind of like, what are you doing here? Like, this is weird. And I was like, this is weird. I can acknowledge this is weird, but I feel like compelled. And then I left, and Natasha was like, how did it go? And I was like, I don't know, but like, I'm hungry. So like, let's just go get pancakes or whatever. So I like left. And then, so that was the end of 2015. So 2016, I started getting called in, like a lot for them. So it's like, and I don't think I had an agent at that time. So I'm just like, they're calling me in. So it's like for
How? Like your personal email?
yes, my email. And then I eventually got a manager. So then I'm getting things through the manager.
Uh-huh.
Um, and it's like, for Love, that show on Netflix, for The Good Place, for all these things. Also, is this too inside baseball? I feel like I'm talking like.
No, this is fascinating. Oh my
Okay,
God, fascinating.
okay. I'm like, please stop me if this is just.
Please keep going. Are you kidding? This is amazing.
The sound of my own voice is just like, okay. Okay, so, but I get very excited. Okay, so.
I love it.
Okay. So I start getting called in, okay? And I do remember this one time. I would get so nervous. Like auditioning for anyone out there, I see you. I get it. It's so scary. Okay? It's so scary. I do remember one time I would always come in and just like one time like the casting associate in front of Allison was like, "I love your backpack." And I was like, "You can have it."
Serious?
And she was like, "Oh, that's all right. No, I don't need your backpack." Like I was just saying things like I remember like, "Oh, do you have a headshot?" And I was like, "No." As I'm handing it to them, it's just I would just be like get so nervous. So one time,
Why do you think you were so nervous?
I just respect them. I think that they have great taste. I think that they have a vision. I think that they're very forward thinking. I think that Allison is just a creative genius. Just think she's very special. And also like she's just cool and I don't know. So someone had sent them like a Harry and David like a whole tray of like peaches. Okay, so it's just like a tray. Okay. So it's sitting there. I had like, I don't know, like this long purse, like big bag that why did I bring a humongous purse to an audition? Like unnecessary, whatever. So I'm like, okay, I finished. I'm like, thank you so much. Goodbye. And I swing my purse. It
No.
catches the corner of the peach tray. They all go flying. All go flying under the file cabinet, under the desk, fucking peaches everywhere. I get on my hands and knees and I am gathering the peaches and I'm like, I was like, oh my
The
God.
audition room?
Hmm?
In the audition room.
In the audition, after I had just done my audition, I'm on my hands and knees. Okay, so then August, that's that year. So August comes and I get an email and it just says Marielle Scott and it says Ladybird.
Mhm.
And I open the email and it's an audition. It's an indie. It's Greta Gerwig. I had seen Frances Ha, but I was like unaware kind of a lot of the other people. Even though not unaware, but just like I had like known Tracy Letts's work and I had known Laurie Metcalf, but I just like, it was just kind of like, oh, okay, great.
Mhm.
Yeah, I was like, oh, I read the script and that was a Monday. I hysterically cried.
Wow.
Hysterically cried. I was like that heaving, okay, heaving crying. And then I was like, oh, now I have to like go audition for this. I woke up at 5 a.m. the next morning and read the whole thing again and just hysterically cried. I was like so moved. So Wednesday's the audition. I walk in, I see something silly again. Like I embarrass myself. I do it once. I do both scenes. Allison goes, let's just do it all again. No, she didn't give me any notes. I'll do it all again. Just, thank you. And her face was stone. And I was like, I left and I cried. I called my dad and I was like, not only did I just blow it with the movie, I blew it with the casting director. She asked me to do it again. I don't know if she wanted me to do it differently or exactly the same. Like
Uh-huh.
I don't know. And I was so sad because I was like, I've been wanting to get cast by them. It's not gonna happen. How many times I'm just like, this is so painful just to feel like it's just not gonna happen. And then
Wow.
couldn't sleep. I couldn't sleep. I was a wreck. I was so sad. And then Friday afternoon, my manager at the time calls me and he was like, you booked it. And I was like, I was going for a walk and my knees gave out and I just like sat on the curb and um I was just like, I booked this like beautiful indie and I called my parents and I called my dad and I was like, I booked a movie and he started to cry. And yeah, and then 2 weeks later, um, I skipped the table read, which like I do not recommend doing
Why?
because I had heard people get fired after table.
No. So you didn't go?
I was working front desk at a yoga studio and
Oh.
I, I was so insecure and so terrified of getting fired, of them hearing me read and being like, maybe not, that I just didn't go.
What did you tell them? Like you had something?
Yeah, I said I cannot.
Wow. Wait, this is incredible. So when you went to the first workshop for the casting office, what was the timeline between that and then booking the movie?
Year and a half.
A year and a half. Wow.
So after I got out of college, it was like 2.5 years before I booked
Uh-huh.
Lady Bird. Anything really. I mean,
Right. So it was an indie
yeah,
and
indie, nothing. The first time I met Greta Gerwig was on set. I'd never been on a set before. It was an indie. It was good. I was like, this movie's good. Like, I like it, but like, you don't know. You don't know. And I also had been obsessed with acting for so long. I was reading everything. I was Googling everything. I was watching everything from actors, and they're always saying, like, you never know. You
Right.
never know. So I was going into it like, I don't think anyone's going to see this. I'm going to see it. My parents are going to see it. And we're all going to like, like that was like, we're all just going to be excited that I'm just in something, but we didn't.
Right.
So a year
You
and a
did
half,
one audition, you didn't have a callback.
I didn't have a callback.
Did the external validation of booking the job give you any confidence or no?
Yes, yeah, huge amount of confidence. However, because I was like, I had such imposter syndrome. I was like, they're gonna find out that I have never worked before. They're gonna find out, and
They have your resume, they know.
they had, but I hadn't done anything. So yeah, yes, yes, they had my resume, but I don't think that even key. I don't think that Greta knew. Because I think what happened, I found out years later, is that Allison had compiled a bunch of my audition tapes
No way.
from before because Greta didn't have anything else to reference.
Right.
So they were like, well, here she auditioned for this and this and this.
If that is not the lesson that like every audition matters, wow.
Every audition matters. And you're one audition away.
I'm gonna have to like let that sizzle and settle. Like that is just wow.
Yeah.
So okay, so you skip the table read and then it's the first day on set. What was that like for you?
It was the best day of my life. I
Really?
got there, my call time was 6. I got there at like 5:45 a.m. waiting in my car, just so I parked like 2 blocks away so no one would know that I was there early. You know, I had done a lot of work on the character, a lot of prep. I was not showing up unprepared. I had been drilling it and working it, and I had been just doing a lot of character work on Shelley, who I played, and Miguel, uh, who was the character in the film. Jordan, we met up for coffee before, and that's where I found out. Like, I was like, "Oh, did you go to the table read?" Like, acting like it was a party, that it was like, whatever. And he was like, "Yeah," and I was like, "Oh, who was there?" And he was like, "Everyone," and I was like, "Everyone?" He was like, I was like, "Mari, what?" So look, actors, do not skip the table read. Don't do it. So that was really silly, but anyways, so I showed up on set, and I tried to just act like I knew what was going on.
Mm.
Like I was just, but I was accidentally doing other people's jobs for them. Like the
Oh.
master, I was like, our first scene was bagging groceries, and we're in the supermarket. Like I was like unpacking the groceries once the scene was, and the prop master was very, very sweet. He's like, I got it. And I was like, no, I can unpack. And he was like, no, I got it. And I was like, sorry. So yeah, that happened. Yeah.
And then how many days were you on set?
It was a couple weeks, maybe a month. Yeah, it was a big job. I mean, to not have work and then have a full month shoot
Mhm.
was pretty incredible. And it was just the best experience of my life. Greta has a strict no phone policy on set. It was word perfect. I was watching Lori Metcalf, who is just one of the most talented people I have ever witnessed.
Wow.
We did a breakfast scene, and it was a 5-hour breakfast scene, and she did it with the most energy every single take. She was so precise. The eggs are slammed down on this line, and this is what happens, and the dishes are so this, and then Saoirse gets up and everything was like a dance, and I just had never experienced that before.
Mm.
I came from theater. It was just like I just had never seen anything like it. It was absolutely remarkable.
That being on that set must have just been like the most life-changing experience before the movie even blew up. What else did you learn from your co-stars?
I mean, I learned like Saoirse was the first on the call sheet.
Mm.
And so that means like she's the lead. She sets the tone. The lead sets the tone. She was the most gracious, the most giving, the most kind. She was so excited to be there. She was funny, and she was just like really cool and kind, and um there was a level of professionalism. Everyone was showing up excited to do their job every day. And it just set the tone for the rest of my career and the
Wow.
rest of my life, because I was like, that the way that everybody worked, the way that Tracy Letts worked and Lucas Hedges and Timothy Chalamet, the way that they worked was just um I was just at a level I just had never seen. It was very exciting to watch live.
Did you get the feeling that the film would be as big as it is?
No, 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 no. It was like, you know, you finish a movie and then um you just don't know. So like it could come out in 5 years, it could come out, like my husband just did a film and it was edited and at Tribeca in 4 months.
Wow.
So you just don't know.
Right.
Like you just don't know. So it was a year-ish and I hadn't heard anything. And then a friend of mine messaged me and said, "Hey, A24 just picked up Lady Bird."
You didn't even know?
And I didn't know. They saw it first. I didn't see it that day. I was like, oh, I like A24. I had been a big fan. So I was like, oh, that means it's kind of cool. Like, that means it's a cool movie. I was like,
Uh-huh.
A24 is cool. And then my manager called me and was like, hey, it's premiering at the Toronto Film Festival and you're going.
Wow.
I was like, whoa. Like, then it was like, oh, it started to sink in. And then I think after Toronto, I was like, oh, and then I think it had like, yeah, it was just well received at Toronto. And I just remember Julianne Moore coming backstage and just crying and thanking us. And like I was, it was like the group. So she came up to Greta and like everyone and I was just in the back, of the like little group at backstage. And I was just like, my mouth was just full. I was just like, how is this happening right now?
How
And
old were you when you filmed?
24.
24. And then so after you wrapped, up until it got picked up by A24 and starting the process of the festivals, did you work?
No, it hadn't
What
come
was
out
that like?
yet. Really hard. Really hard. I didn't book anything until that next summer. So I filmed that in August. It was almost a full year.
Right. And so
Yeah,
was it back to like the side hustle jobs?
yeah, yeah, yeah. I was still scrubbing yoga mats,
Uh-huh.
like sweaty yoga mat. I was like, I need to work and I need to do something. And yeah, I mean, I do remember like I really wanted to go to Sundance, so I like packed a backpack and I went to Sundance. My manager found me a place to stay, and I just like went, and I would go to screenings and like sneak into little parties and just try to meet. I went alone. I was like, I want to just be here and exciting, and like I was like, one day I'm gonna have a movie here, so I need to know kind of like the terrain. I need to understand. It's kind of like So yeah, like that was happening, and I was auditioning. I got that a representation, which also I was like, oh, maybe that means that Lady Bird is like good. I was like, it hasn't come out yet, but agents seem excited. So I was like,
Uh-huh.
oh, it's kind of cool. But
How
they
did you go about finding that representation?
I think my manager at the time uh got me that agent. And then
Mhm.
the agent I didn't book any. I was going out here and there, but not booking anything. And
Mhm.
it was hard. It's hard not working. I get it. Yeah.
Right. Especially after having such a magical experience. You're like, this is my purpose.
Literally, and you're like, whoa.
Right.
Like the most fun, and then it's just done. And you're like,
Right.
oh, there's like now a gap in my life when I like have felt this thing, and
Yeah.
then it's just like whoosh, and you're like, what do you have to find creativity in other ways. And yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, you are so determined and it's incredible. It's so inspiring. Like all of the ways that you've gone, like not follow the traditional path of like, I'm just going to be quiet and stay in my lane. Like you can't, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I think that like, yeah, I just didn't see that happening.
Right.
I was just like, the industry has changed a lot now, and even when I was first, first, working, I still feel very new. But like, people like who looked like me weren't always cast, or it was kind of like difficult, or she's mixed and she's ambiguous, so there was kind of like we can't cast her in a family really, or whatever. So I was like, I have to make it happen. It's not going to be handed to me. And in my life, nothing has been, I don't like like industry wise. Like my parents were very supportive and excited, and they would always be, we wish we knew someone, or like, hey, we would. It was very like they really wanted it for me, but it was definitely up to me.
2016, the film starts to go to festivals.
2017.
And so now you're traveling.
So now I go to Toronto. So okay, so I booked really this very, very, very indie horror movie.
Uh-huh.
And that was like right after the Toronto Film Festival. So that I was like, I'm living the dream.
Uh-huh.
I get to go to like TIFF and like be in this thing and do press, and like, it's like was very cool just being with my cast, and like seeing Greta really celebrated. Like that was very exciting. And after, there was the after party for the premiere, my mom went up to Greta and was like, "You're gonna get nominated for an Oscar." And she
Oh.
was like, "Oh, from your mouth to God's ears, Nashua." She's like, "Oh," and my mom was like, "She's gonna get nominated," and I was like, "Mom, shh, don't talk to her." I was like, "Just be quiet." Um, so nervous, so excited. And then I went directly after to go film this like horror movie.
Wow.
Yeah, so that was the best.
Uh-huh. And
Even
then
though, yeah, the movie was, like silly and stuff, but I just love to work.
right. So then when Lady Bird came out, I don't remember, was it immediately a huge hit or it took some
That's hard to say. I think that it was more of a snowball.
time?
I think that it was like, oh, it got good reviews. It's doing well on the internet. It's doing well, like, in terms of like Rotten Tomatoes and stuff. But I don't think it really like hit until probably like a couple months later.
What was it like for you to watch the world react to the movie so positively?
I'm just so excited I was even in it. Like it was so not about me. This is Greta's directorial debut. Saoirse Ronan is a like literal like butterfly starlet, like just the most magnetic person. I was just so excited. Like when I would see billboards, I was just like, "Oh, there!" Like I was not like, "Oh," I was just, I'm still. This is how I feel about everything. I'm just so grateful to even be in it. I'm
Yeah,
like, I don't care. Like I'll be a bush in the corner. I don't care.
right.
I was just like, this is just the coolest thing that's ever happened to me. And like, it was also very validating, like, just my family to see. They're like, oh, this is something that she has wanted for so long and cared about. And like, look, it's like people are resonating with it, which was
Right.
also very exciting.
I'm sure a lot happened between that and you. But we have to talk about you because I love the show. I think it's so freaking cool that you were in it. And I've gone back and watched your parts a million times because I'm like, I know her. That's so cool. Were you a fan of the show before auditioning?
Yeah, yes, I was a huge fan. I think I was on location somewhere and I was watching it and I just was addicted.
Yeah, it's so good.
And I had auditioned I was in season 2, so I had auditioned for the neighbor, the older sister neighbor. She was the neighbor of Joe, and she was there was like Jenna Ortega was the
You
younger.
what was Delilah, right?
Yes.
That was season
2.
2. So you auditioned for that role?
I auditioned for that role and got
No
called
way.
for that role, got
Okay.
choices for that role. and then they brought me in for Lucy.
Oh, wow. You watched season 1 and you loved it.
I loved it. Yeah, I loved it. I was obsessed. I thought it was incredibly written, incredibly acted. I was very excited. I also had never seen anything like it
Yeah.
on TV. Like, it was very unique, and I
Yeah.
loved the way it was shot. I was super stoked to audition. But like, there's a lot of things that I've auditioned for that have come out, and you can't get too attached.
Yeah.
'Cause I
Right.
have done that, and I'm like, this is so amazing. Oh my God. And then you don't get it. And it's like it's just hard. So you have to be attached enough to put the work in, but it can't be your life.
That's a lot easier said than done.
Yes, yes. So that's where it's really important to have friends, to have like
Full stop.
really like to have like little trips on the book or a day trip, to the beach, or like other things in your life in the background and in the forefront. So you can kind of oscillate between like, oh, I'm showing up to this audition, but that's not the most important thing about my day. The
Mm,
most important thing about my day is that I get to go have dinner with my mom, or I get to
right.
have lunch with Natasha, or I'm dating this new guy, or whatever it may be. Like, it's important, or I get to just sit home and watch a movie that I love.
Yeah.
Other things that it's like it's not an ascent. It's like, oh, this is part of my day. So that's where like the youth stuff was very cool, but it was also like, well, cool,
Mm,
but also I want it, and I would be honored to be a part of this project, and it's not the most important thing in my day. And I
wow.
want to get there.
So you got called back, you auditioned for Delilah and got called in for Lucy.
Yeah, yeah, and called back for Delilah producers, and then got
Oh, so how
then
many rounds for Delilah? 3?
there's two.
Okay. And this is all in person back in the day.
Yeah, this is
Okay.
2019.
And then did you get the script for Lucy and you loved it?
Yeah, I was stoked. Yeah, I was
Uh-huh.
like, this is so incredible, and she's a boss, and she's just like, I like her. Like, I
Yeah.
like this person. She also loves best interest,
Yeah.
which I really can relate to. As like, I love my female friendships, and they're very important to me. And so I was really excited to be like, no, like, let this man prove himself to us, or have this, like, is he the best thing for you, or we're excited for you. And that it was something I really was excited to portray.
You're so good
Oh
in
my
this
God.
show. No, really, like you're so great. So what was that audition process like for Lucy, and what was it like finding out that you got the part?
Yeah, that was really cool. I was filming the audition was great. I had actually booked a movie called Our Friend, uh, and so I was filming that in Alabama. So I was like on my way to the airport. So I like stopped in, I did my audition, and I left. And it turns out they did want me to have a callback, but because I was out of town,
Oh,
my reps were like, she literally can't. And so
uh-huh.
they just offered it to me after the one audition.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. So that was very cool.
Were you so stoked?
Yeah. I was like freaking out. Every time I book something, I'm freaking out. Like, I have no chill. Julia, no chill. I am like,
I,
not, I'm not that girl. I'm not like, oh, I'm like, what?
I love that though. No, me too. Oh my God. I love that. So how long were you on set for you?
I was on set from February to June.
Wow. In LA?
Yes, all in Los Angeles. It was also very cool because that season is kind of a love letter to LA. Uh,
Yeah, totally.
Fun of LA, which I thought was like really great. And I'm generationally Los Angeles, so I just like loved that we were like celebrating and making fun of our culture, and just
Yeah.
but yeah, it was, because we like pop in and do these scenes, it was like not every day, it was like our scenes were going throughout, let's say the season was 6 months or something. So we would come in.
What was it like working with Penn?
I mean, like, he's like really funny.
Uh-huh.
really professional. He's very kind. He's very intelligent. Just like cool. Like,
Did he like switch into Joe when the cameras were rolling and then switch out? Is that what it's like?
yes, yeah, yeah, yeah. Like he'd put on the baseball cap and he'd put on the denim jacket, and that was all very fun. It was
Wow.
also being a fan of the show.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my god, Joe. The first time I heard him talk at the table read, I was like,
We went to the table read for this one.
oh yes, I've never skipped a table read since. Ugh, dum dums. Oh,
Oh my gosh. That's hilarious. And Victoria, was she also like amazing?
Angel, I have really haven't had any negative experiences with anyone on set. Like everyone has been very kind.
What did you learn from that set, and how was that experience different than Lady Bird?
Up until that point, I hadn't booked anything with multiple directors on one show. So
Mhm.
that was very exciting to work with directors who were coming from the writer's room. Or I worked with this incredible director. Her name is Silver Tree, and she is just, a genius. And so that was very exciting to be able to understand their perspective and their language, be able to adapt really quickly. And look, filmmaking and movies, TV, it's not about the actor.
Yeah.
I know it may seem like it's about the actor, but it's not. It's a like living organism, and no one thing is more important. So if you go in with that perspective, like this is not about me, this is about serving the story, that you're able to adapt so much more quickly, because your idea of your own vanity, wanting to sound and be likable and all of that stuff, it doesn't matter. What's best is like, how good is this product? And we want to make this product great.
Yeah.
I want this to be received and resonate, and for women to feel seen and heard, and female friendships to be celebrated.
Right.
So that was why it was so exciting to work with different directors, because everyone brought in a new perspective, and I could just relinquish any kind of idea or plan that I had.
Do you watch your own work?
No,
No.
I'll watch it. Maybe I'll, the premiere, or it with projects after that. I have sat with my family, but it is not fun, comfortable. After Lady Bird, the first time I saw it, I walked home 4 miles and cried. I couldn't not walk. I was so upset, and
Why? What?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't like it.
Have you seen You season 2?
Parts of it.
So like you'll watch it and then skip your own scenes?
Well, yeah, or I'll just not, like, a friend of mine will send me something and I'll maybe watch a clip, but I haven't seen the full season.
I mean, you're not the only actor who feels this way, but like, what about it makes you so uncomfortable?
I get self-conscious.
Hmm.
It's like I don't know. I mean, I think I have seen my own auditions, because
Hmm.
I have to watch those, and I think it is important to watch yourself. And I would like to get to a place where I can watch myself, but right now it's just kind of like icky. Like, I don't know. It just feels like hearing your own voice on an answering machine, and you're like, that's what I sound like. No one told me what, like, that's, I get very like, oh gosh.
Hmm. So how do you feel about self-tapes and having to watch your own work before sending it?
I hate it. I hate it.
Uh-huh.
I'll do it because I have to kind of turn on that brain. But that's because I want to convey something specific for the audition. But if it's locked, then I don't, everyone else is happy, I'm happy. It's fine. I don't care. I care. Not that I don't care. I mean, like, I don't need to participate in that. I wish I could watch myself. I just read Gina Davis's book, and she was talking about how important it is to watch dailies and watch yourself. And I was just like, that sounds nice.
Oh my goodness. And so that came out in 2019? You season 2, that was pre-pandemic.
That came out winter, yeah, like right before the pandemic. So like 2020. It was like New Year's, or I don't know what. It kind of came out
Mhm.
during winter break of that year. 20.
So A Teacher, when did that come about?
That I filmed winter of 2019. That came
Oh,
out in the late summer and then into the fall.
so that was still pre-pandemic.
Hmm.
What was that audition process like, and how was that set different from you and Lady Bird?
Yeah, so that audition, I went in. Also, I think on a Wednesday, I did my audition and I was like, stoked. And I was just very excited. And I had been testing for another show at the time. I was just very focused on the testing because testing is, it's high stress. So it's kind of just like all consumed. And I went in for a teacher. I did it, left. My manager and agents called me that morning, Friday morning, and were like, "Can you go back in today?" And I was like, "How soon can you get there?" And I was like, noon. Like it was probably like 9:30, 10. I was like, I can get there, let me shower, change, so I could get over. Like, yeah, noon, great. And I was like, okay. The casting director worked with me for 30 minutes.
Wow.
Like, Mari, again, you have to get this one note again, 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 again. And I got to a point where I was like, I don't think I can do, like, we've done it how many, I was like, I don't think I can do it. um and that's where I think that exercise
Mm-hmm.
is really great training for pushing past a boundary that maybe you didn't think you could do. So I love to work out. I love exercise. I do it for my mental health. And when it's like, I don't think I can do another rep or another mile, there's a part of my brain that's like, but you can.
Mm-hmm.
You
Yeah.
can. And you can. And that is what literally came into my mind during this audition. I just sat down and I was like, I really want this role and I'm not getting it. And he's asking me to do it again. And I'm nervous. I'm not making a good impression. I'm not serving the story. And my brain is like, do another rep, do the extra mile, push yourself, push yourself. No one else is going to push you. And I was like, I can do it again. And I did it. And he was like, we got it. So then I went home. My boyfriend, now husband at the time, was like, how did it go? And I was like, I don't know. I mean, I was there for so long. And then I got an email from Hannah, the showrunner, and Kate Mara, and they had like looped me into an email, and they were like, "Congratulations, you booked
That
it."
night?
At like 9,
Wow.
and I was just like screaming.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I mean, I told you this. I just think this is so cool. I was at an acting class and two girls were doing a scene of yours. And I was like, that's so cool. I wish you had like surprise, appeared.
Yeah, that would be crazy. That's so cool.
Oh, so have you seen any of that show or no?
Yes, I've seen it. Yes, yes. My husband was like, "We're gonna watch it," and that's what I watched with my family. Yeah, it was very cool.
From college to now, would you say things have gone as planned?
No, I wouldn't say as planned. I would say the plan was to work
Hmm.
in any capacity. When I'm able to do that, that's the gift. And
Mhm.
auditioning is the job, and the job booking it is the cherry on top. So the type of roles that I've gotten, I didn't expect to ever get. I, didn't expect to be this, and but it's better than I thought, and surprising. And this industry is hard. Like there are times that I go through that I'm just not working, just auditioning and just not booking anything, and it's insanely painful, and it does provide it really wears you down.
So how do you go about taking care of yourself and still maintaining a healthy balance of things when that's happening?
I'd also love to hear what you do as well. I'm in therapy. I nurture my friendships. I pick my nephews up from kindergarten and see them at on Tuesdays. I'm with my family a lot. My husband and I love to travel. So if we're able to, we love to travel.
Mhm.
And, he's on tour this summer. And so I get to go be with him. So I'm not working this summer. It's a writer's strike and SAG may strike and, everything is at a standstill. So I'm like, let's go. I was like, I'll happily be a little tour wife, and hop around with you and get to spend time and support him and be there for my friends. And yeah, I think that, I also think that like exercise and getting out of the house and being of service to others, I think there's a lot that I'm able to do, that I do.
Mhm.
I would be curious, what do you do?
It's been something that I've been trying to figure out for a while, and I don't know if you ever really like master it. Staying in the art is so important. Working with Always on Stage, where I mean that's just the most fulfilling thing in my life of like being with those people and creating art at the same time. It's like what's better than that? Nothing. Like it's just the best. I work with Lollipop Theater Network. I don't know if I shared with you, but they're an incredible organization that brings entertainment to kids in the hospital. And so I do a lot of Zooms with them, and that's really special. These conversations are so fulfilling to me. And just different ways that I'm creative without needing someone else's approval, you know?
I think that's gorgeous. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
really, really beautiful. I love that so much. That's so inspiring for me too.
Thank you.
I was definitely under the pressure that I was only as good as my work. And if I were working, I were worthy and I was lovable and I could do things and show up the way I wanted to. And if I wasn't working, I wasn't worthy. And I remember even thinking, oh, I didn't deserve a birthday party this year because,
Wow.
and I really would say your work is a part of you. It is not your whole life. The industry is not greater than you. It's not this big, mysterious entity that nobody knows what they're doing. We're all figuring it out. Your worthiness as a human and a woman is not in your work.
How have you been able to get to this point of feeling that?
And therapy. Every time I audition for a job, don't get it, and feel sad. Okay, that doesn't mean that Mari is unlovable or there's something wrong with Mari. It means that they're looking for something specific. I did my version of what I think the character could be. And
Mhm.
if that's not aligned with their creative decisions, then that's okay. It has nothing to do with me personally. It's not personal. And that's something I have to read about, write about, think about all the time. It's not personal.
Yeah.
Nothing about this industry is personal. Nobody's, oh, she's not this or she's not that. She doesn't look like this. No, it could be any reason. And it is rinse and repeat. It is a daily affirmation of like, I'm worthy and I have a beautiful big life. And I get to work when I get to work and I get to live my life on the outside and have those experiences, but it's daily. I mean, I also like, I love meditation. I love to read. I love to write. I like to get in touch with like that part of myself.
Mm. Your husband Ryan, how did you guys meet?
Oh, we met on Hinge.
Oh,
Yeah, we met on Hinge. I was meeting co-stars and I was like, I don't want to date a co-star. And I've been friends with the same people for, decades and decades. So I was like, we've exhausted all those options. And so that's not gonna happen. And so I just started going on, I did a play and then I was going on like one date a week. So I was like, I just want to meet new people. And so I was just doing one date a week with the girl in the play. We were doing it together like as a little challenge. And then you happened to be this date that I went on and we just kept dating and
now you're married.
now I'm lucky enough to be his wife.
Oh my gosh. I love that so much. That is so cool. What are the things in your life that you're really passionate about outside of your work?
Oh, that's a good question. I love to be outdoors. I love to hike. I love to be with my family. I love to be with my friends and I love to travel.
Hmm.
I want to see the entire world. I want to see all of it. Mariah is a full Disney adult.
Mhm.
He is obsessed. It is his whole personality. Uh and he is like, I want to go to every Disney park ever in the world. And I was like, I love that because I love to travel. So I was like, Singapore, let's do it.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that's I don't even know if there's a Disney park in Singapore. That's how little I know about it. But yeah, I mean, I love to travel. I love to be with my friends, and going to the movies and watching TV. I know it's like kind of part of my, it is obviously part of my work, but it's fun just to, the new Spider-Man came out, and it's like a true work of art.
Wow.
Is Julia, if you haven't seen it,
I haven't.
it's it's just magical. It's a magical film. So that's celebrating artists. I
Yeah.
love going to museums, exploring LA. I love, yeah, I'm very
Have you
curious.
seen The New Little Mermaid?
No, I haven't yet.
I haven't seen it. I want to like go to the theater and do a whole thing. I'm so excited to see it.
But yeah, iconic.
This is the last question, and it's my favorite question. What do you want your legacy to be?
Oh, it's a good question. My legacy. I mean, as an actor or a person?
As a person.
As a person, wow. That's hard. I have a couple things. I wish I had something like concise, but I really want to tell stories that make people feel seen,
Hmm.
heard. I want people to feel like, oh, that's someone in my life, or someone. I want to make people feel seen and heard and comfortable. I want us as a collective to feel, abolish any kind of shame we feel, or like it's just us that feel this way. I want there to be a kind of like collective exhale, like, yeah, I know.
Hmm.
And also just throw great parties. I want to be known to, and I go to bed at like 8 p.m. So I don't even know. Like, I'm such a grandma. I don't know where that comes from, but I do. I want to be known to throw great parties.
I love that. This was incredible. Thank you so much for doing this.
I'm so honored, Julie. Like, truly just so honored. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity.
Oh, no, this was wonderful. You're incredible. I mean, I knew you were incredible, but like this is incredible. And I'm so excited to share this because I don't even know if you realize how inspiring you are and your story is. It's really, really incredible. And I'm just so glad that we met. I'm so happy.
Me too. I know. Me too. Thank you so much.
Did